Good morning, everyone. It's Tess, and today is tip 154. And I did a talk last night on Doc V's Transform Your Life Challenge group. And I think today I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've been thinking about since that talk last night. Um, for those that don't know, I used to tutor, and I did for about 5 years, remediating reading and math. And during that time, I learned a multisensory approach to teaching reading and teaching math. And really, what they found is that when you say it, you see it, you feel it, you hear it. It gives your body a lot of avenues to internalize what you're trying to learn, and gives you more concrete, solid support for changing or improving reading and math. And I was thinking about self-talk because I've done a lot of work with that this past year, and how I had to improve my self-confidence and my self-worth with self-talk. And some of the stuff that we've been talking about this past week with Doc V, I started thinking about, well, what is the connection? Because we've been listening to a lot of things like on Kobe Bryant and David Goggins and a lot of these athletes, and how do these people succeed? And I started remembering that a lot of them start talking about that, and even Doc V's talked about, it's almost like they rehearse an athlete. Well, hi, Rachel. An athlete will rehearse, continually repeat and repeat and repeat the dribbling and the throwing of a basketball, and that getting through the hoop. So they rehearse what they want to happen when they're on the field. Now, athletes tend to call it a coach, and we tend to call it a mentor. But what I started thinking about is, when these guys are rehearsing it in their mind, that's a form of coaching and mentoring too. And what they're really doing is what we do with positive self-talk. Oh yeah, it gets me through life too, Rachel. And it made me realize that I've been doing a lot lately about directing like individual things, not just my positive self-talk about me, but my positive self-talk about like work, or like getting some chore done, or I keep, trying to direct my mind so that I don't get distracted, because sometimes it's easy to get distracted when you're working on something you don't want to do. So I've been using a lot of, so what I did this morning is I did some research in several articles, like ResearchGate, Psychology Today, and there was a 5-part article by Ruth Bowers, and it kind of talked about how do we use self-talk to support our dreams and our goals, and how do we like use it to redirect our inner conversations. And that's when I started thinking about like these athletes. These athletes will always, the best of the best athletes, like talk about how they practice physically. So that's using one sense. They practice in their minds. I mean, they go through all these. They have mentors. They use all their senses. They see it. They hear it. If they could taste it, they probably taste it. But they continually reprogram their mind towards what their goals are. And it made me think about when I tutored. When I tutored, that's exactly what we did. We used every sense we could come up with. Like, I would literally, in teaching reading and writing, I would actually have a tray full of rice, and I would have them write inside that rice tray and say it, see it, feel it, because that's how they owned it. That's how they reprogrammed their mind. And it was kind of interesting, because in these articles I was reading, they also talked about the fact that this idea of connecting your self-talk covers so many areas. So it's no wonder it's like a mystery to so many people. It covers philosophical, scientific methodology. It covers philosophy of the mind. It covers language. It's social directed. It's undirected. And then it had this word, epistemology. It's a theory of knowledge between belief and opinion. And I just found it so interesting that it really, a lot of things we learn, and like Dr. V will say, succeeding at your weight loss journey will give you the tools to succeed at every area of your life. And he is right about that, because I started thinking about all the tools that I use to remediate reading issues with young children, or actually even through adults. The same tools I use are helpful, and why didn't I see this before, but are helpful even when we're addressing other areas of our life. So if I'm in my mind saying the right statements, in my mind, feeling the right statements, if I'm reading the right statements, if I'm rehearsing the right statements, use as many senses as you can so that your self-talk, you're directing yourself in that direction. And there's been a lot of talk this weekend on Doc V's challenge, and it just made me kind of go, oh, you know what, light bulb. I did that probably 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. How come it didn't connect? But the more senses you put into it, the more you direct your self-talk and support it and strengthen it by seeing it, rehearsing it in your mind, saying it, touching it, touch the tennis shoes. And as you're touching them, say to yourself, I'm going to run the 5K. I'm going to do it faster than I did it yesterday. But if we keep doing that, we will support and encourage and help ourselves to keep moving forward. I took a Doc V kind of challenge just this weekend about going further. So yesterday and again, keeping it within range, something that is doable, because if you don't keep it doable, if you make it an unrealistic goal, like Doc V was doing push-ups, and he was doing 2 push-ups a day to start for a week, and then he added 2 more, and he eventually got up to close to 40. See it and then envision it to yeah, you're right, Rachel. See it and then envision it to reality, and use as many senses as you can. See it, feel it, hear it, taste it, touch it, however you can do it. But make sure you keep those goals realistic, like Doc V was saying, and attach it to something if you can. Like for his push-ups, he loved to garden, so he did 2 push-ups before he could garden every day. Now, if he doesn't garden, he doesn't have to do the push-ups, but if he wants to get in that garden, those push-ups are there. And then once a week, he would add 2 more until he got to the point where he was where he wanted to be. Yesterday, I decided that I'd start walking in the morning as soon as the sun started to rise. I did it yesterday. This morning, I got up and I'm like, hey, I can do further. And I'm like, nope. I learned better than that. I am not going to overwhelm myself and make this too difficult of a task. I will follow the same pattern I followed yesterday, and I will continue to do it for at least a week or more before I add anything to it. And I will talk to myself about how this feels good, how I'm going to continue doing it, how I'm going to get to my goal weight because I'm doing these tools. I'm going to touch clothes in a smaller size. I'm going to write these journals to myself about how I'm going to succeed. So I am going to use the tools of my mind and all 5 senses to keep moving forward. So where you can, direct that self-talk. You guys, we're all going to do it. We're going to accomplish amazing things, and we're going to make our lives better than we ever thought possible. I appreciate you guys so much. Hope you have a beautiful day. And remember, direct those thoughts using every sense available to you with realistic goals and change your life. You can do it. We're going to all do it together. Have a beautiful day. And thanks, Rachel, for always being there for me. You guys are the best. Thank you.